our backs parallel to the earth below. We were surrounded by quiet and darkness, with nothing sounding in the air but a couple of coyotes that howled far off in the distance, and a simple breeze that blew past us, ruffling the flower beds we rested between. Your eyes were wide as you looked up into the night sky. Both of us observed the web of stars and the great beyond above in silence. Inside, I felt peace as I stared at the beauty before me. How you felt was unknown. The air between us felt empty, yet strained with the weight of things unsaid. And I knew then that you were ready to speak. How can something so beautiful be so meaningless? You asked, breaking the silence. My gaze shifted from the sky to you, puzzled by your question. Your eyes were still staring straight above, arms cocked back to support your head against the dirt. What do you mean? I inquired. Life, you muttered quietly. I chuckled. What made you ask that? I smiled. You shifted your body in the grass to face me. I've just been thinking about it, I guess, you said. Looking at the sky, it just reminded me of it. I shook my head. You'll need to explain your thinking a bit more. You were silent once again, as you thought. Well, I'm just lying here looking at all these stars, and, well, it's got me thinking. The sun is a star, right? Well, there are 8 planets orbiting our sun. What if all those other stars in the sky have their own 8 little planets orbiting them? And what if those planets have people on them, just like us? My eyes darted between the stars you spoke about, and I found myself lost among them. You've lost me. You shook your head. I'm not done. Just right now, there's a few hundred, maybe even 1,000 stars in the sky right now, and those are just the ones visible to us right now. All in all, there's probably close to a few 100 trillion stars in the entire universe. And that's just an estimate. We don't have no idea how big the universe is. It could be infinite. Well, I hope you have a point here. Instantly, I could see the annoyance in your face. I'm being serious, you said, offended. My point is, well, all those stars out there with their 8 little planets and their people living on them, there's just so many. Probably quintillions of people, or I guess aliens or whatever, living out their own lives with their own problems and their own friends and well, their own everything. I've always thought that I was small here on Earth, and that's just one person out of 7 billion. But when you take the whole universe into account, I'm one out of potentially infinite people. And well, the night sky is so beautiful with the stars and all, but altogether, with every conceivable being in the universe, it's nothing. I'm nothing. I'm just a small, insignificant fraction of this universe. There are an infinite number of people out there who have their own lives, and I fit nowhere in that. It doesn't mean anything. My life is meaningless compared to everything else in the universe. I'm just a speck. Your voice faltered as you finished talking, and I could hear you swallow the emotion that had arisen with your words. All of it, it was overwhelming. To you, the emptiness of everything weighed over you like Atlas, and as I started to think about your words, it held over me too. And the silence came back as we both stared into the vast and empty sky. Sure, I finally began. All in all, the universe, it's pretty big. We are pretty insignificant when you look at the big picture, at the entire sky. But you're looking at it wrong. What do you mean? You were puzzled. You see, you're only looking at the entire sky. Of course, when you look at something with such a large scope, all the little pieces will look small. But take a look at this. With my hand, I pointed to the sky. That right there is Orion. I outlined him for you. There's his head, his chest, his bow and his arrows, his belt, and his legs. Do you see it? Yes, you nodded. I see it. Now watch this. With swift motion, I covered Orion's head with my hand. Now he doesn't have a head. Moving my hand again, I covered his bow and then his arrows. Now it's just a body. Finally, I covered the rest of Orion so that only my hand lay above your face. And now, there's nothing. You were silent as you stared into my open palm. Crickets chirped off in the distance. Well, what was the point of that, you asked, and I responded with a smile. Now, you're not letting me finish. I removed my hand from in front of your face so that the entire sky was open to see once again. My point is this. Altogether, sure, it means nothing. It's just a bunch of random lights in the sky. But when you look at each individual star, that's when it all begins making sense. That's where you get Orion, or Taurus, or any other constellation. That's where the meaning comes from. And when you disregard some of them, that meaning goes away. Everything has a meaning, and everything has a purpose. And even if a trillion other things have their own meaning and purpose, that doesn't make your meaning any less valid. I'm sure on one of those 8 little planets revolving around one of those trillions of stars, there's 2 people, or like you said, aliens or whatever, lying in the grass having this exact same conversation. And one of them probably just covered up our sun with their hand, and now their constellation doesn't make any sense. You were silent after I finished. I didn't look over at you for a moment or two, but when I finally did, you had your hand up in the sky, covering up various stars and squinting your eyes. I guess that makes sense. Your voice was filled with content. I smiled as I gazed up into the stars, my eyes drifting from light to light, trying to see if I could make out any dot-sized planets far, far away, and wondered if anyone on those planets was staring back at us.